What is weighing you down that you may need advice on? Should I marry him because of cancer? My high school boyfriend won't live long. He has cancer. I will be graduating high school this June. Same for my currently ex-boyfriend. We are both 18 years old. I am going to a really good college and starting on a path to my dream career. Something to know about my boyfriend: in 4th grade, he was diagnosed with cancer. We live in a small town, and everyone sort of rallied together to help his family. By 7th grade he was able to be back at school, and he had a normal 8th grade in high school. We started dating sophomore year, and stayed together until I learned he was sexting a girl from his art class 3 months ago. I broke up with him. It was hard. We had been each other's firsts and said I love you, and he kept texting me. It was a mistake till I blocked his number. I got a call from his mom, who I had really liked while we were dating, telling me that his cancer was back. It was way worse, and he wasn't expected to survive this year. I was shocked, asked if there was anything I could do, and she said he wanted us to get back together. That he wanted to marry me, since we could do it legally, and he didn't want to die without marrying the love of his life. I was so shocked. I said no, I can't decide now, and hung up really quick. But his mom, dad, and sisters have been texting me, calling me, sending me photos of him at the doctor's, saying that it was just for a few months and he had made a mistake, and his sister sent a voice memo of him saying he loved me still. They've been asking me to give a grieving family one thing to make them happy, and I can hear how much pain they're in. My parents told me they wouldn't be happy if I did it, but would respect my decision and would help if I didn't do it. My mom told my grandma and aunt, who also live nearby, and they've been telling me to do it, just to make a sick boy happy for the last time, and acted like I was basically Satan when I said I was leaning towards not doing this. I texted his mom I was still on the fence, and wasn't sure I could do it. His mom and sisters have been texting more and more, and his mom sent me a photo of some rings, and his sisters said they've been crying and praying with him. I haven't replied, and I'm torn up about this. I know if word gets out his family will basically turn the entire town against me. On one hand he cheated on me and I think I sorta like a girl in my friend group now, but I'm not sure. On the other hand, these are the last few months of his life, so I wouldn't be married long, and his family and him seem truly heartbroken and upset. What would you do? Any advice is welcome. Should I ever talk to my sister again? I had very religious parents who gave me no sex ed, so I'd wait until marriage, and as a result I got pregnant at 17. I caught it early, and went through a clinic, who made me an appointment to get an abortion, but said I should ask someone to drive me home afterwards. The father dumped me when I told him, so I asked my sister, 20 at the time, if she would drive me, but not tell our parents because they'd told us both that if we ever got an abortion they'd disown us. I asked her about a week in advance. She agreed. But a few days later she got in trouble with our parents over curfew, and decided to tell them about me to get herself out of trouble. I found out what she'd done when our parents woke me up at 3 a.m. telling me to get out of their house. My brother, 24 at the time and also disowned, he's gay, lived about an hour away, and I called him, and he came and got me. When the time came for the appointment I couldn't do it, and my brother and his boyfriend said that now I was living with them I had options. It had been an emotional couple of weeks, and I should take some time to think about it. I decided to keep it. My son is now 11. I got married March last year, and in January of this year I gave birth to a baby girl. My sister has reached out to me on my birthday every year since I was kicked out. Yesterday was my 29th birthday, and her 12th attempt. Every year she says the same thing, she's sorry, but she didn't realize I'd be kicked out and they would have found out eventually, and then a request to meet my son, my partner, and this year my daughter, too. I've ignored every attempt so far. I have blocked her every year, but she's making new accounts solely to message me, and I need social media and an email account for my line of work, so I can't get rid of it. This year, however, her message was a lot more emotional than previous years, and she basically said that she doesn't know how anyone can hold a grudge for over a decade, and called me and asked for never even acknowledging I'd seen her messages, but said she'd keep sending them anyway in the hopes I learned to move past it. I called my brother and read it to him. He forgave her about 5 years ago. She outed him and got him kicked out when she was 14 and he was 18. And he sides with her and has said that enough's enough and I have to speak to her, even if it's to tell her to go to hell, because she will keep sending these messages because she is never getting a response, and she's distraught over the idea of me never forgiving her over one mistake when she was 20, and he told me that she's trying to make it up to me and I have to stop shutting her out. Is it wrong that I don't want to talk to her? Is it weird to ask if your relationship is okay, periodically? I am in my early 20s, my BF and I have such a great relationship, to the point where I question how it's even possible. We barely have any disagreements, No fights, still as lovey with each other as we were on day one. He is like an angel and I don't know how someone like him exists, let alone is in my life. I'm so lucky. I certainly have my positives, but I'm a bit more chaotic, emotional, a handful, than him. I'm not totally crazy, but I can be stubborn and I exaggerate things and I'm so trusting that I can be naive. I also am pretty emotional. We both have depression and anxiety to some degree, but he's better at dealing with it himself. Point is, sometimes I wonder if our relationship's as solid as I think it is because I can't help but feel like I exhaust him. I'm worried I'm wearing his patience thin. He's given me zero reason to think this, it's totally my insecurity. This stems from my ex who broke up with me out of the blue. He cited things that I did that pissed him off over the 2 years that I had no clue were problems. It was my first relationship and I didn't know that our lack of communication on serious relationship stuff was a problem. So now that I've settled in with my BF for a year, I'm just getting nervous that I'm doing things that bother him that he's not vocalizing. We have great communication so it's not like we don't talk about things. This is totally my own anxieties. I don't want to put my insecurities on him. They are for me to deal with. However, I don't know how to deal with them other than periodically checking in like, hey, is everything okay with us? Is there anything that's bothering you? But I don't know if that comes off like I'm paranoid or nuts. Is this something couples do? Or in some different way? Should I just keep it to myself and try to trust there isn't a problem until he vocalizes there's a problem? Sorry if this seems obvious. I genuinely don't know. My ex was emotionally abusive and would gaslight me to the point where I'm still trying to figure out my own feelings and emotions and their validity. I have no idea what's normal or not. What do you think? Controlling family can't understand digital privacy. Long story short, I built 2 computers and have 2 laptops. One of them is getting pretty old and is on the verge of crapping out. My brother, who despite the fact that he has severe mental disabilities refuses to go on his meds, believes that he has to literally do everything I do. When I was dating a girl 2 hours away from where I live and before I had a smartphone, I used a GPS system. Therefore he believed he needed a GPS system. I had a TV, he fabricated a lie that his computer monitor was going out so he bought a TV. We share a room so every time he used his TV mine would mess up, even with tape over the IR sensor. I had a gaming console. He had to get one. You get the point. What really set me off was when he began boasting that he wanted to build a computer not only to monitor the internet activity at home, but to share personal documents. I lost it. In a way, I was disappointed for being gaslighted into this, but I finally had to put my foot down on this. I had enough of my brother constantly trying to outdo me. What made things worse was when the family told me that if that was what he wanted to do then I should just let him do it. What I decided to do was to finally take advantage of digital minimalism and simple living. Sold my TV and gaming system, destroyed my GPS system since it was outdated, disconnected all computers from the home network and began taking my hard drives out of my desktops and the batteries and power cables from my laptops and carried them wherever I went if I wasn't going to be using the laptops, work and such. When I started this, my family began to go nuts because they believe that they have to know exactly everything I do on my computers and even has gone as far as demanded to know all my passwords. I politely reply back my password is go_f_yourself_now. I'm taking additional steps to secure my data by taking my hard drives with me, so they can't do anything. I also invested in a small USB stick to store my personal documents and encrypted it so my family doesn't have access to it. And I invested in a small security camera that I have hidden in my room in case I see my family messing with my stuff. Is it unfair that I hung up on my daughter's grandparents? They deliberately called her the wrong name. I gave my daughter a fairly common, but not exactly conventional name. I'll use a similar, but fake name for the purposes of this, Luna. My ex isn't involved in Luna's life that much. He was present for the first couple of years, but just didn't want to be a dad, so he pays child support and shows up every now and again, 2 or 3 times a year, to see Luna. But that's about it. His parents, however, are involved. I've known them for years and my own parents aren't involved in my life, so they are Luna's only set of grandparents. Luna is 8 years old. My ex's parents never really liked her name, and called it hippy-dippy bullcrap when I told them what her name was, but seemed to accept it and move on. The last time they spoke to Luna was over the phone about 2 months ago, and I heard them calling Luna Lily over the loudspeaker. I'd never heard them call her that before and Luna frowned when she heard it, so after the call I asked Luna if that was a nickname they gave her, and she said yes. I asked if she liked it when they called her that, and she said no. I said that I'd never heard them call her that, and she said they only do it when I'm not there and she's been ignoring them when they call her Lily and saying she didn't like it. But then her nan says she's being rude so she feels like she has to respond to Lily. Today we were meant to have a video call. I called them, said Luna had told me about Lily and she didn't like it. And from now on use of Lily results in me hanging up on them. I then called Luna in, said I'd go check dinner, and I barely got to the door when I heard "Hi Lily." True to my word, I then walked the 2 or 3 steps back to the laptop, joined Luna on screen, and said bye before I hung up on them. Luna thought it was really funny and thanked me, and my boyfriend agreed with me, but my ex and his parents are both mad at me, saying it was an honest mistake. They've been calling her Lily for years, and I can't expect them to break a habit like that so fast. They also want an apology for hanging up on them so abruptly. I've responded that I intend to do it again and again until they call Luna by the name she prefers. They've responded that this is very immature of me and I shouldn't be barring their access to Luna over petty things like this. Am I the unreasonable one? Just to add, if Luna preferred being called Lily, I wouldn't be reacting so strongly. I just let them call her Lily and I do it, too, if that's what she wanted. Also, there is no case for grandparents' rights. I made a schedule for visiting the newborn. Now I am getting yelled at. I brought my baby home from the hospital 6 days ago. He was premature and they kept him until 6 days ago. The father is not involved. Day 1. Mom shows up. She wakes up the baby so she can hold him and stays for about 4 hours, in which I have to make tea and coffee and field questions. She leaves and shortly after my aunt arrives. She also wakes up the baby and doesn't leave until about 7 p.m. I didn't get him to sleep until about 3 a.m. Day 2. Baby and I slept until noon, when we were woken by stepdad knocking to see him. Tea and coffee. He was here for a few hours, and I had to use a covering to feed the baby because it made stepdad uncomfortable. I get a half-hour break before brother shows up wanting to see his nephew and stays until about 6 p.m. Didn't get baby to sleep until about midnight. Day 3. Stepmom and dad showed up around 8 a.m. Didn't leave until about 3. Was once again making tea and coffee, preparing food. Had to order lunch for the lot of us to be delivered to my flat. Day 4. Mom, stepdad and brother got there in the morning. Dad and stepmom showed up right before they left. Dad and stepdad had an argument and brother had to make them leave. Baby, who was previously calm, started crying because they were yelling. Day 5. Aunts and uncles. This morning around 10 a.m. dad's siblings, 3 of them, knocked on the door, waking me and the baby, and invited themselves in. Got a message while I was talking to them from one of mom's siblings saying that he and 2 more of my aunts would be at my place within the hour. Dealt with both groups and baby simultaneously with no breaks. Still day 5, I created a schedule online, and posted it on Facebook. The schedule allows 3 by 2 hour slots a day with an hour gap in between to see the baby, and doesn't include Wednesday and Saturday. I wrote on the post that if people want to visit they can. But I need to know when they are coming. They can't just show up. Either get in touch with me directly or use the schedule so I don't have to deal with multiple people or groups of people at once. Day 6. I have never been this tired. I wake up around 3 p.m. to feed the baby and open up Facebook to about 30 different relatives messaging me asking how could I stop them from seeing the baby, saying that the time slots are inconvenient or aren't big enough. I tell them tough. I'm a single mom trying to take care of my first child while also dealing with random drop-ins. Dad shows up, knocks on the door, demands to be let in. Baby is crying so I don't answer. He knocks louder. I put the baby in his crib and go to the door and say that I am busy so he can come in. He leaves. Literally not one person has responded positively to the schedule, and none of them intend to stick to it. How do I make sure they stick to the schedule and don't overstep without venturing into toxic, unpleasant territory? My girlfriend and I have been dating for more than 2 years. Her insecurities may cause our relationship to end. My girlfriend is 6 years older than me, but believe it or not, the age difference isn't why we might break up. I don't have an issue with her being older than me, but it does play a role in my thought process. We've been together for over 2 years and we've had our ups and downs, especially at the beginning. But aside from that, we've been in a healthy relationship. Sex life has been great. Our friend groups like each other and we are always doing things together. The issue on hand is her insecurities and how it's played a role in my life. To give her the benefit of the doubt, her last boyfriend left her for his ex. So I've been extremely sympathetic about that and tried to do everything to make her feel comfortable in our relationship. No matter who the person is, if it's a female, it instantly raises questions by her. I always try to explain how I know this person, for example, coworker, longtime friend, mutual friends, cousin, just to make her feel comfortable. Her questions always make it seem like I'm interested in this person and that's never the case. This has led me to cutting out a lot of people out of my life that were once my friends and also making me feel uncomfortable talking to other females because I know she will interrogate me on who those females are. Her insecurities have also played a big factor within my work life and this is the biggest factor in our relationship. I can bring up at least 30 different examples of how she's affected my work life with her behavior, but I'll just list off a few. Work sports. I mentioned how I'm playing softball since a female co-worker asked me to play and my girlfriend instantly starts grilling me about her. The crazy thing is that this co-worker is married and the only interest I have is to play softball with 10 other people, but yet I need to explain myself. I eventually started to say no and lie on why I can't play, even though I committed to play. Work events. I had a new job this year so she wasn't familiar with any of my co-workers, neither was I. When I would talk about them to her, she would ask me to say their names, not coworker, which was fair. She then wanted details about their life, whether they had a BF. She only showed interest in the females even though my main friends were the guys. Majority of my job is networking and going to events, however she wanted a full list of everyone going and I never knew this. She would then call me, message me and keep grilling me during work hours on who was going as if I had something to hide. Once the event starts, she would blow up my phone and call me when I didn't answer. This made me feel guilty for going to a work event and I couldn't even enjoy myself. I would then come home to more questions that made me feel guilty as if I cheated on her, but all I did was go to a work event, which was almost mandatory. I eventually stopped going to events or even meeting clients because my manager was a female and that always led to more questions by her. Fast forward, I get offered a new job within the company and I leave the office to share my news with her, and rather than being supportive, she starts looking at the negatives. The reason why is that I would be working for my female manager who just got promoted and wanted to take me with her. Anyway, I turned down the job and now I hate the job I'm currently at because I feel like I should be doing more. But hey, at least my girlfriend is happy. I've gone to couples therapy and we had a lot of good sessions, but my girlfriend's insecurities just would not stop. I've done everything I can. I tell her how my date has gone. I tell her who's texting me. I tell her who I'm going to hang out with. I invite her everywhere I go. But it's never good enough and I just feel defeated. No matter what I do, there will be new reasons on why she'll need to feel like she needs to question me and accuse me of hiding something. I took her to our work's Christmas party and introduced her to everyone. Everyone loved her and she had a great time. When we came home from the party, she asked me randomly if I've ever been to my female coworker's house. It was out of the blue and I was so annoyed that she would even ask me that. This is also why I try not to get drunk around her because it always leads to fights since she can't control what she says and always accuses me or something. I landed on this, just this last week, there were 2 occasions. One was me standing up from the couch and I knocked my phone underneath the pillow and she accused me of trying to hide my phone. I explained myself and she said I just don't want you to feel like you have to hide things from me. The other example was a coworker called me for help since we're all working from home, and she saw her name in my call history. She waited a day to ask me about it, but rather than being direct, I told her how I was recognized by my boss for the work I've done this last month and rather than being positive, she asked me 3 times if I've called anyone for help. I said no and asked her why she keeps asking that. She said that she knows I called a coworker and that she's upset that I lied to her and says I just want you to feel like you can be honest with me and not lie. I was taken back because I did answer her questions truthfully. A coworker called me, I never called anyone. And either way, why does it matter? We're coworkers and always ask each other questions. I explained myself and she called me a liar again. The worst thing is that she played a game with me rather than being direct. In conclusion, I feel like no matter what I do, it's never good enough. She will continue to ask me questions and try to set me up for failure. I just feel defeated and I'm not sure if this will ever get better since it's been like this for most of our relationship. I honestly think she's an incredibly person and loves me to death and I love her, but I'm terrified that her insecurities will always play a factor in my life. She always says how she wants to change and just doesn't want me to give up on her. I've changed a lot for her to try to make things better and that change isn't necessarily the best decision for my life, but if it makes her feel better, I'll do it. My fear is that what if we get married and we continue to fight like this? She's almost 35, we should be focused on marriage, but I feel as if we're playing games now. I have little to no patience left as this has gone on way too long. We just had a fight last night and it ended with the thought of me breaking up because she called me a liar again and that I was trying to hide the fact that my coworker called me during work hours. I know she's a great person and is fully committed in this relationship. I just don't know if I want to keep going because I don't think she'll change. Am I wrong on not being fully supportive? I would never cheat and being with another female has never crossed my mind. Any advice is appreciated. Thanks in advance. Update. I ended it with my girlfriend tonight. She's not handling it too well and asked for another chance. I told her how would it be different from all the other times. Anyway, I'm moving out tomorrow. I feel horrible that I've wasted 2 years of her life. I feel a level of guilt because of her age and that I may have affected her future. The sad thing is that she was my best friend and we did hang out 24/7, but I just can't deal with the manipulation and things never getting better. If anything, they're getting worse. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell for more stories delivered to you. Thanks for listening. See you later.